Welcome to Money on Tap. Money on Tap, your personal finance headquarters, where we bring out the professionals' experience and some fun in what we call three-dimensional investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning. That's what we do on this show. We look at all sides of the issues, and we bring a fully independent planning perspective to the table.
Welcome back. You are listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. My name is Seth Krussman, and I am joined here with Ben Brayshaw and Dan Mickelin, your hosts of Money on Tap. All three of us are financial planners at Brayshaw Financial Group. We love three-dimensional investing. We love that you can become successful in your investing simply by taking an hour out of your week to be here with us and learn more about what financial planners are doing. What do we see the road to success for our clients and for you as you ride alongside of us today? So welcome aboard. We're glad you're here with us. We're going to have a lot of fun on this show. Remember, you can help us out by going to your favorite podcast network and just subscribe or follow Money on Tap. And when you do that, leave us a couple stars or leave us no stars and tell us how bad we are. Either way, we'll love you for the feedback and the honesty. Really, truthfully, we love the honesty. And
we really want some people to lie, though, Seth.
I
bring out the lies.
I love the haters. I love the haters. And but even if you hate us, we're going to send you some Money on Tap gear when you get a hold of us at info@yourmoneyontap or give us a call. And we'll send you out that Money on Tap gear, and it's good stuff. You will not want to burn it in effigy. You will definitely want to hold on to it. Yeah, so we're going to have some fun today as we get into. Well, you know what? Hold on a second. I'm so excited about this show. I got to take a breath, and I got to say, hey, how are you guys today?
I'm good, Seth.
I'm doing good, Seth. How are you doing, Dan?
I'm doing well. And you know what? This is one of those shows that, I just got this feeling that we're going to save somebody from a really bad day. And I'm happy we get a chance to do that.
We're going to save people hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars today. To prove
Put on your capes.
Seriously. I'm excited about this show. I mean, I haven't, I hate to say I'm excited about what the topic is, but I'm excited because I think this show is going to be a huge download show. This is going to be one of those shows where after it's done listening to it on the radio, people are going to literally pull it up and share it with their friends. And this is one of those shows that's going to earmark the future and how to protect yourself. Tell us more, Seth.
Yeah. How are we going to do that today? AI, for one, is a huge topic, right? It's nothing new in the news. And if you're not familiar with, some of the pros and some of the cons, today we're going to really dive into some of the cons, which are these AI scams. Okay. The show title today is Beyond Phishing, Deepfakes, Chatbots, and the Future of Scams. So we're going to uncover some of these scams that are out there right now. And some of them have been out there for a while. Maybe you're familiar with them, and not much has maybe changed in the scam landscape. But the application of AI, the technology is absolutely mind-blowing. What it's able to do today and how susceptible, if people weren't already, just by scammers doing a great job out there, just how this has changed the landscape for you as a consumer, as somebody living right now, got money in the bank, trying to make it happen, how susceptible you are to some of these scams out there. So we're going to make sure we get into some of these, but then we're going to talk about future, like the future of what some of this is going to look like. First of all, have a conversation and then start to put some of these things in place for yourself, because that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to take some action. You just can't think you're going to be smarter than it, right? Or better prepared than it. You're going to have to, in the better prepared part, you're going to have to take some action and do some of the things that we're going to be talking about today to protect yourself and to protect your loved ones from any of these scams coming through.
Yeah, I would say, Seth, that this show and the conversation about AI is so much hype about how AI is going to grow businesses, how it's going to enhance people's opportunity to do work, and how it will take, kind of the jobs that are, monotonous and can be automated and allow those people to expand into, other roles that will bring more value to, the service portion of the industries. Those are all awesome conversations. And I'm excited about each one of those. But I think we're hearing all these different things. I was just listening to Warren Buffett. It's so funny. We're doing the show and Warren Buffett was just talking about how he one day is going to buy stock from himself if he lives long enough because AI is just out there. What I'm excited about this show is not necessarily just to educate people on the scams that are out there and developing now. What I'm excited about this show is that we've dug into where we think AI scams are going, what you should look forward to know, to be prepared, to be aware, to know like, hey, wow, I heard all about this and they're doing it now. Like we want to bring that to the forefront today. And I'm really excited about that portion of the show and just the overall landscape, because the amount of scamming that's going on to the baby boomer generation and to everybody, to be honest with you, it's not just the baby boomers. It's horrific. And it's not something to be embarrassed about. If you're getting scammed, been scammed, like it's okay. Like you're not alone. It's so prevalent. It's ridiculous.
Well, all right. So we're going to get into beyond phishing, deepfakes, chatbots, and the future of scams. But first, it's time for Money in the News.
First up from Fox Business, thank you, Megan Henney. The IRS has $1 billion in unclaimed federal tax refunds. Time is running out to collect it. So what's going on here, and this is important for everybody out there listening who specifically and particularly have not filed their 2020 taxes yet. There is a deadline upcoming. Typically, it's 3 years after the file date, so we're looking at May 17th. But because of COVID having happened in that time frame, they're expecting to extend that window a little bit. But the bottom line is this: if you have yet to file your taxes for 2020, take a good look at your records there, because chances are you may be amongst just about 1 million taxpayers who the IRS expects have a refund coming to them that they have not yet paid out. And if the window closes on this, that opportunity to collect that refund is going to be gone for good.
I think about the IRS having an extra $1 billion. We might as well just send it over to the Ukraine with everything else. I mean, why not, Dan, right? I mean, 60 billion, 61 billion, what does it matter? It's just a few extra bucks. Or maybe this just offsets the whole Ukraine thing and makes it a $59 billion cost to the taxpayer. Sorry, I had to throw that in there, Dan. I just had a little fun with that. But it's pretty incredible that people that they know that this is how much is sitting out there waiting to go back, and people just haven't filed. And if you don't file, you can't get the refund if it's owed to you. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, this is a lot of money for the average person, and I think people are just scared to file taxes. And this is, a credit to, Erin, who works with us, and Karen, who works with us. She's a CPA. We have people here that do taxes that are like unbelievably great and professional, and they understand the whole. If you're behind, now's the time to call somebody who does taxes, because they got all the time in the world. They can help you catch up. They can get this stuff moving forward. You've got some time, and with the whole COVID issue that they're potentially going to extend that 3-year warning period, I thought was interesting in the article. They might do that and give some grace. This is the time to do it. Don't be afraid of this. You got to just step in the box and do it. And even if you owe money, it's better to file than not to, and set up a payment plan, because eventually they're going to get you. They hired, what did they hire? 80,000 new employees or something. They just petitioned to hire another 14,000. They're coming for you. Beat them to it. Make your life easier long run.
Yeah, I was going to say, Cameron is our other CPA over here that works with us on the tax side too. And gosh, these are just great people that we have here. We really haven't. It's an honor and it's a gift to have these people with us at Brayshaw Financial Group and advocating for you. And now is the time. We're just post-tax season. Things have lightened up a little bit in their load. They're already starting to take the appointments for the planning part of the taxes that they love to help our clients and you with. So take advantage of that service here at Brayshaw Financial Group and get those taxes filed. And I was just going to laugh when you were talking about $1 billion. I'm like, gosh, that does seem like such a drop in the bucket. Like, If you were to,
it's a lot of money when you're thinking about it in this form, but then you think about how our Congress spends it. It's like, oh, that's nothing.
Yeah. Game changer for any one of us. And it'll be hilarious to find out it's probably like 5 people or 5 organizations out there that just haven't filed. And that's what's that 1 billion is attached to, because I don't know. Next up, we have got from CNN. Oh, by the way, have you noticed Megan Henney, Fox? Like, we should probably just have her on with us on Money on Tap one of these days, because we do a lot of Megan Henney articles. She's doing a good job out there. So thank you, Megan. CNN, Paria Kavalans, retailers jacked up prices and squeezed consumers. They might have just blinked. And if you're not familiar with what that means, that's like a gambling term. Like when you blink, or like a bluffing term, when you blink on a bluff or a gamble, right? That means that like, oh, the gig is up. I got you. And what that really translates to in this article here is that they're saying retailers are feeling jittery. Why? Because you're so smart. You people are so good. You're out there as consumers and aren't taking it. You're like, nah, I'm not going to buy that. Just too much. It's way too much. I'll go buy something else. And now the slowdown in the retail space, they're feeling it. So a lot of these retailers, I mean, big names, right? Big names. What was there? Walmart, H&M. There's a whole line of them here. I'm kind of losing my place in the article, but there's a whole line of them here that are saying, for one, that they're going to start to lower these prices out there for you. There's, of course, a whole prime the pump kind of a perspective of it there, which once we start to get more people buying and in the pattern of buying and feeling like they're getting a value for what they deserve out there for what they're buying, then things will kind of start to normalize and stabilize again. But just good for you.
You know, I thought it was interesting that they were, Walmart and some of these big retailers are using it as a marketing thing. Come in by December, our prices are going to be a lot lower. They're bringing them in while they're high. They're, manipulating this thing, but they're literally saying that people are buying less. People are more competitive. People are fighting for better pricing. It's a fact. People aren't just going to pay, erratic prices anymore, because either they've bought everything they need and they're going to figure out how to do without. And things are getting harder. There's free money is just not flowing around anymore. So it's very interesting. And I thought, from an investment standpoint, these are really important things. You want to look for the retailers. If the market is slowing down and people are becoming more competitive, you want to look for the retailers from an investment perspective. Are they going to be the player? Is that where they're going to go? And if things are dropping down, maybe Walmart's a play. I have no idea. Those are the types of things you want to look for, those discount retailers, because as people start cutting, they stop eating out at expensive restaurants. Then they go to the less expensive restaurant. And then all of a sudden, the people who are going to the less expensive all the time anyways, they drop down to McDonald's. Like, people spend less. It has its flow of money, and people don't shop at the high end retailers as much when they're trying to save money. They're like, this will be fine. This purse will be fine. This dress, this piece of clothing, I don't need a new shirt. Those are the types of things that people look at, and you got to be careful with that.
Yeah, there's a couple areas that, have remained kind of stubbornly strong, particularly on the kind of higher end, big ticket items, cars, online shopping remains strong, and travel, entertainment, restaurant industry hasn't really seen that drop yet, that cut in spending. However, items like furniture, clothing, sporting goods, electronics, if you're in the market for those things, keep a close eye on what's happening in the price world. Look for sales, look for opportunities, because those are the ends of the discretionary spending world that have suffered the most, and you're likely to see the best deals.
Yeah. All right. Next up, a 5-star tent. Hotels are betting on glamping, by Sarah Friedman. So this is from The Hustle. This is really a very interesting article. I just was having a conversation yesterday at a dinner about the national parks. So there's all this glamping. And what's incredible is that in 2022, I'm quoting the article here, traditional luxury camping accounted for 32% of vacations. That's unbelievable. And these big, huge resort organizations are building these elaborate, camping kind of facilities. One of them's in Punta Mita, Mexico. It's $4,000 a night. $4,000 a night. And then on top of it, there's another one, an all-inclusive cabins in Colorado start at $2,900 per night. Now, what's interesting about
that's I just got to stop you there. That's tent camping for $4,000 a night in Mexico.
Oh yeah.
Tent camping.
Per night. Per night. I mean, if you're going for 10 days, that's $40,000. I mean, this is not a massage spa luxury resort. This is camping. And I think it was funny because there's a couple of puns in the article. For all intents and purposes. It's like, it's very funny. It's just like, they're expecting the glamping market to be worth $7.1 billion by 2031. And I was talking to somebody that the national parks, they've grown in attendance by so much that you have to do reservations for most of these places now. There's waiting lists and reservations, and you can't just show up in your camper and be like, yeah, I'll take a spot. It's not the way it used to be. And my thinking about this is that's probably driving the interest in this, that a lot of people that there's a massive increase in camping. And I think it's probably a little bit of back to basics from COVID. I think people were like, I'm stuck in my house, but the one thing I can do is I can go to a national park for the most part. I can hike these trails without having problems with people near me, and I can enjoy the great outdoors. And people fell in love with nature again. So I think this is driving a little bit of this, which is interesting. I'm sure this is going to be an interesting space. It's kind of like those treehouse places. I saw those one time, and those things were ridiculously expensive. You sleep in a treehouse in the Amazon or something, So, anyways, pretty interesting stuff going on there.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't trickle out into the entire camping space, and really drive up prices, because that's that's supposed to be the cheap, really wholesome, family trip you got to go on, and just people need a place to go. Let's keep some prices reasonable, but yeah, the idea of spending $4,000 a night for any kind of tent camping, I don't care what's going on in there.
$4,000, damn! I'm thinking more than a couple $100 is just astronomical. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, we're not talking about air conditioning here, folks. We're talking about, I don't know. I mean, thousands of dollars? No, not me. But it's interesting from an investment standpoint. Some of these big 5-star hotel things are getting involved in this, and this is definitely going to be a cash flow item, because the out of pocket is really just the land. The tents are cheap. The infrastructure is supposed to be rustic and kind of old and problematic. It's supposed to have that feel. So,
speaking of investable, the RV rental marketplace, Outdoorsy, launched a fund. We'll leave that nameless. And that was in 2023 to provide financial assistance to RV owners on its platform looking to build glamping sites. So there's investable opportunities for people out there. And I've talked to clients that have property in beautiful locations, and they're, looking at opportunities to turn those into glamping sites, and gathering their kind of investors alongside of them, much smaller family size kind of stuff. But it's interesting how scalable this is as well. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. We're talking about beyond phishing, deepfakes, chatbots, and the future of scams here on Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. We're going to take a quick break. Please and thank you for subscribing and letting us know what you think of Money on Tap, because we love to send you some Money on Tap gear, and we just appreciate you. Thanks for the connection. Thanks for being here. And thank you for being successful in your investing. We'll be right back.
Hello, everyone. This is Dan Mickle on a Brayshaw Financial Group. Are you looking for professional guidance to kickstart your investing journey? Look no further. Brayshaw Financial Advisors are here to help. Our team of experts will provide you personalized advice tailored to your financial goals. Visit us at BrayshawFinancial.com today and schedule your free consultation. Brayshaw Financial, investing made easy.
Thank you for joining us for Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. And now, more of this week's show with Ben, Seth, and Dan.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. We are going beyond fishing. That's maybe not the kind of fishing that your mom and dad or we grew up doing and talking about. This is fishing for your information in scams. So we're going beyond that today. We're talking about deep fakes. We're talking about chat bots. We're talking about the future of scams. All of this to get you in the conversation and in the room so that you can be prepared and that you can prepare your family. You can prepare your businesses, to avoid potential disaster. And it is a wild, wild west. Do you get that feeling like it's like, oh my gosh, like there's somebody dressed in black with a trench coat has just appeared in town and everybody's running for, their lives. Like, we don't know what in the world to do. Like, who's real? What's going on here?
Yeah, I would say that, Wild Wild West is actually a good phrase for the scamming world. I think, to speak to Warren Buffett we were planning this show, and Warren Buffett's talking about AI scamming as the next thing. And I find it really interesting that, we're all kind of just amazed by, AI is amazing, right? Everyone's looking figure out how to invest in AI, how to make AI part of their life and, their business, whatever it is, like, just AI is incorporating itself in lots of different spaces. And it's just amazing to me that the growth of AI in the evil realm is just as exciting to those people as it is to us about, using it in positive, opportunities. I mean, we think about the Terminator and how, AI in the Terminator movies, turned bad, and all of a sudden all these robots were killing all the humans. And, that's some real stuff. Like, we got to figure out, like, hey, the robots were killing the humans to preserve the earth, but they were killing the earth. And then, it's just an amazing conversation about where AI can go. And it's been something we've been, whether it's theatrical or, in today's world, it's a topic of conversation of where it's going to go. I'm just really amazed at the level it's at, and even for me, the learning I absorbed over preparing for the show of how far AI scam stuff has gone in areas that hasn't hit the general public yet, but more of like the big corporation space that's coming for us. And I think that's really where we're going to help a lot of people today, is get you ahead of space. Just for those listeners, 7,000 people were polled in a survey, and 70% of those people had been scammed by some form of AI or another. So, I mean, I don't know where the poll was or whatever, but the thing is this is part of everybody's everyday life. And some of us are smart enough to avoid those scams, but 77% of us are experiencing, hey, that's a scam. Are we being taken by it or not? That remains to be seen.
Yeah, that survey came from McAfee, which is a cybersecurity company, and it really is hurting people. I mean, some of the kind of background results of that survey showed that 36% of the people said they lost between $500 and $3,000, and 7% had lost between $5,000 and $15,000. So, I mean, there is real harm going on out there, and the difficult part of this is, and I think today's show is going to get you up to date and get you kind of forward looking a little bit, but these cybersecurity companies acknowledge them. It's totally a cat and mouse game from here. It's going to be a situation where, the criminals get one step ahead, and then we build tools to try and combat that. But what's it's funny, but you think it's got to be kind of core to the truth that they think the biggest tool that we have at our disposal that's going to help us defeat the AI scams is AI itself, because it can begin to predict and notice patterns. And, they give examples of, they have AI scanning our phone systems. And if a given number is churning out hundreds of thousands of calls a minute, it gives them a data point to go look at, because that's likely to be something nefarious going on. And AI is able to take a look at some of the images that get produced and some of the actual, kind of thieving property here, the content that they're using to rob us, and it can examine it and determine it to be fake. So this is going to be kind of a long-term, as they exampled it, cat and mouse game of trying to, keep a step ahead. But we're not going to have all those utilities at our disposal here as just consumers, investors, and people living in the public. So we're just going to have to maintain a very high level of vigilance, particularly not only for ourselves, but, if you have older family, really keep a close eye on those guys, because this technology is growing leaps and bounds by the day. And it's hard to keep up with for any of us, even in the cybersecurity world. But for kind of the most vulnerable portion of our public and our loved ones, you really have to help people get through this. And, one of the keys to that, and we're going to hit on this again throughout the show, is, if you do fall victim to it, or even if you're approached but don't get fooled, share that story. Make sure you're letting everybody that you're concerned about hear about that experience, because chances are they're going to be exposed to the same thing at some point.
Yeah, I love if you have any experience out there with any of this stuff, please give us a call at Money on Tap. This is just, for one, it really helps our community here to be aware what's on the horizon, what's going on right now inside your world, and you sharing that here allows, who knows what you're doing as far as how much you're saving people, not only just the heartache and the frustration, there's a lot to that, and there's just taking that kind of action is wonderful. And I know that can be a really hard thing for people to kind of bear, that, I had this happen, and maybe you went through with it, and maybe you lost money. Maybe there was whatever the circumstance was that could bring you into just having a conversation with us here at Brayshaw Financial Group. That would be amazing for us. We're going to talk a little bit right now, just kind of around, what does this AI evolving scams and like the landscape look like? So, we've had shows on scams, and we've had conversations here around kind of AI and the topic of it. And for the most part, what we're seeing is the AI scam is kind of just a continuation, for the most part, of a lot of the scams that we've seen historically. And so what is the next layer that they're doing with AI? And what is AI actually allowing the perpetrators to do? Well, for one, there's almost a flawless, and I will say almost. Some people say they can't detect, and maybe that's true, but it's almost a flawless voice duplicate, right? If let's say right now they've got the Money on Tap episode, right, that we're recording and you're listening to, they can take that, download that audio, and then they could actually just recreate. I say they. Maybe this is us. Maybe we're doing, who knows? Maybe we're doing an AI episode right now, and you don't even know it. That's how
that's horrible
that technology is. It could completely create a Money on Tap episode just with Dan and Ben, and the thing that I would say inside of this is I'm a pretty quirky dude, and for AI to be able to duplicate, whatever my sense of humor is, and it might get the pauses and the ands and ums and a lot of this stuff. So it might get a lot of that, but there's probably some personality in there. That's the next level that we're seeing. We'll get there. But as of right now, they're doing a phenomenal job of duplicating video, audio, and getting that to you in a way that really doesn't appear suspicious in most cases at first.
Yeah, I would say, Seth, for a lot of our listeners, they're saying to themselves, like, video AI? Like, what's going on here? How advanced is this, and how true is this? Well, there was an article in AARP about scams and frauds. It was the AI fuels new frighteningly effective scams. And they talked about how a finance worker in Hong Kong had done a video call with the CFO and some other executives and was instructed to move $25.6 million to a number of different bank accounts for the company. And ultimately, what ended up happening was the video conference and the conversations were all AI generated, real enough for this guy to believe $25.6 million. He felt it unusual that he was the one called into this meeting to do it, but, was excited about the opportunity, it sounds like, of, being involved with the executives and having this thing. And he did exactly what his bosses instructed. And he said it didn't come across to be something that it was, not. I mean, my first inclination is this guy somehow in on it? But that money's still missing and a real problem. So to think about what video AI is really evolved to is so much more than even I understood it to be. And I think this is the thing, folks. You're going to get calls from your children, video calls, whatever, people asking you for money, and you're going to think it's them. This is a real issue. And I'm sure people are concerned. One sec, Seth. I'm sure people are concerned. But Seth, you said something really important. Contact us with your scams, because the more we know of how people are reaching out, the better off we are to help other people. I mean, people hide the scams and they're embarrassed by it. And we don't use names, but the more we know about how people were either defrauded or saw fraud is helpful for ourselves and our listeners.
Yeah, I was going to go through kind of a couple of those. For one, I'll just say Oprah Winfrey, and I'm looking right now at some of these celebrity scams. They're using Taylor Swift. They're using Gordon Ramsay for HexClad cookware, which, I see that stuff at Costco. Why wouldn't Gordon Ramsay be out there demonstrating and saying how wonderful HexClad is? And it almost seems like it's subtle enough that is it really a scam? Yeah, it's their image and likeness, and he's not getting paid for it. So in that regard, yes. Who was responsible? HexClad? Did they do it? Or, I don't know. I don't know the backside of that, but there's stuff out here with, again, Taylor Swift for touting Le Creuset. Don't even know what that is. Oprah Winfrey and Kelly Clarkson doing some weight loss supplements, right? It's just that's what I mean. Wild West. You name it, you're gonna just be blown away and floored. Right now, we're glad that you are blown away and floored to be here with us talking about AI and the next level of these scams out here. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. Yep, it's that time. We're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. And while you're out there, thanks for subscribing to the podcast. Please make sure to drop us a note at info@yourmoneyontap.com, because we love to get you that money on tap drip. We'll be right back. Hey, this is Seth Cressman with Brayshaw Financial Group. Are you looking for a hassle-free way to invest? Look no further than Brayshaw Financial Group. With Brayshaw Financial Group, you can start investing with as little as $100 and enjoy a user-friendly platform with diverse ranges of investment options. Visit Brayshaw Financial Group and start your investment journey today. Brayshaw Financial Group, investing made easy.
We appreciate you listening to Money on Tap with Ben, Seth, and Dan. You can contact us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. And now, more of this week's program.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. We are beyond phishing, people. We are beyond phishing because we're in deep fakes, chat bots, and the future of scams. So it's out there. All right. It's more than a conversation. It's a reality. Well, how is AI really changing the game? And, one of the things we want to try to do is just have some specific ways for you to understand how AI is being used by scammers. Dan, what have you seen?
One thing that we hear about often in this business in particular, because we have, control to some extent over people's money, at least the access to it, and we get asked to do certain transactions is, this kind of fake romance type of a scam. There's a lot of people out there that use online applications, for dating, people that are, have been widowed and looking for companionship. There are people out there specifically preying on that community, and they will set up these profiles in these dating sites and applications and try and draw in as many, potential targets that they can. And there's a couple things that they'll do along the way to try and get money out of you. They can reach out to you and say they've had some kind of hardship or, some kind of issue at home, car broke down, this broke, need to replace that. And they'll ask you for money. And you'll send them that money. They might even return it the first time just to come back and ask for more. So be very, very wary of that stuff. Others are even kind of more nefarious. They'll take images that you've shared, pictures that are available of you, online on these dating sites, and they'll do terrible things with that. They'll create, and this is the AI effect, they're going to create very compromising false photographs of you and then ransom them back to you. Say, hey, if you don't give me X amount of dollars, I'm going to send this out as some kind of blackmail to all of your friends and family. Really embarrassing kind of stuff. Really difficult scenario for people to navigate because they fear being crushed in their personal life to the extent that they're willing to send whatever these people ask. So, if you fall victim to anything along those lines, don't let that fear and shame and any of those connotations that are very easy to understand guide you into making a bad decision. Because chances are, even if you send the money, they'll be back for more. It's not going to be the end of the story. So if you find yourself in that spot, share that information. Get the police involved. Let's jump on that.
Yeah, I think these relationship scams are huge, especially for the baby boomers. Someone loses. I mean, some of these scammers, they search, they search the obituaries. They look for people who are recently widowed. They know they'll emotionally attach quickly. So if you are a widow or widower, you need to really be careful because your emotions are worn that you're really looking for companionship. It's a real problem. And you're being targeted, which makes it even worse and horrible. This is way more prevalent, Dan, than we realize. And the conversation around this becomes very interesting. There's lots of different ways that, everything's wonderful. It's going on. They'll play 5 or 10 or 20 different people all at the same time with pictures and videos and all sorts of stuff. And then they have their car breaks down and they can't get to a doctor's appointment. And it's only $150 and I'm waiting for my Social Security check to clear or whatever. And next thing you know, you lend them the money, but they pay it back to you and everything sounds good and everything looks good. But then all of a sudden, a few months later, a bigger problem happens and they slowly build more trust. And you might have some financial transactions back and forth that are totally no big deal. And then all of a sudden it's like, my roof is leaking. I need $10,000. And you've earned that. They feel like they've earned your trust. All of a sudden you send $10,000 and, the contractor said, the plywood underneath is rotten and it's going to be another $18,000 to rip off the entire roof. And they found mold. And I mean, these stories go on and on and on and they're destitute. And what's interesting is parents sometimes meet somebody else and they get remarried. And then the children are all in question, like, is this person legit? Because we know all these things are happening. And that creates a whole nother emotional and complex dynamic and creates woes and problems with their kids. So you have to kind of go through this process carefully when you meet somebody. It's like, all this online dating is 90% of the problem because older people don't understand online dating. I don't even understand online dating, thank goodness. But the conversation around online dating is something that's so crazy to somebody who's a baby boomer that to translate that into a real relationship is really hard to quantify. And it's not like, kids in today's world.
So this is, again, I think a great example. This is a known scam. I mean, this is the honeypot, right? How many times have we watched a movie where somebody they're an espionage, which I love those genre. And, they're doing something that they're not supposed to, and they got the video and the footages of it. But this is going beyond that, where they maybe haven't even done anything, but they've been able to create such realistic scenarios, and then still doing the same thing, using that fear to hold it out against them to get whatever it is they want. And there's beyond just that kind of technology being available right now, there's the personalization of it, like the AI algorithms, that the data that is being gone through in a way that it can analyze vast data sets to identify who are the potential victims, and then craft a highly targeted email and message to it. So you're going to see a whole lot less of the Nigerian prince, right? That email that's kind of come and gone for the most part, where you'd see the email with all the misspellings and the English that just was like, wait, what are they really saying? I mean, I kind of get it, but they're not really using correct English. That's going to be going away, and it's going to be really, really good, looking good. Deepfake technology, where scammers can use the AI, which we've talked about, to create realistic videos and audio recordings, and trusted victims, or trusted figures to manipulate them. And one we really haven't touched on yet, but is super prevalent, is a chatbot scam. And that's a chatbot basically that can be online and mimic a human conversation, right? Like it's there helping you get to your phone services and, getting things fixed on your phone services, but essentially kind of luring people into these chatbot conversations. And then they provide sensitive information by clicking on a malicious kind of a link. So those are just a few of what's actually happening right now. The things that are consistent here is that we still see the loans to a friend scam, which, Ben, you were talking about with like the roof or something like that, but diving deeper, like going beyond just that initial, hey, can you help me out with $500,000, to developing the relationship to that kind of trust.
Well, Seth, it reminds me, I have a client who their mother was scammed for over $500,000. And they're like, Mom, how did that happen? It didn't happen all at once. The person didn't send $500,000. It was a 3-year scam. Like it was a multi-year, it was unbelievable. Wiped the woman out financially. It's absolutely horrific. It's a horrible story. And when you start breaking that down, like that's not a one and done only scenario. This happens all the time. It's just so scary, and nobody's talking about it. Nobody says, hey, I got scammed. It's so embarrassing. They're like, how did I fall for that? It's truly, it's the black eye that no one wants to talk about anymore. And it's happening to everybody.
One of the things that happens a lot is you'll be contacted by, whether it's your credit card company, your bank, any vendor that you work with, a software provider, some app you use. They'll be reaching out to you, and they'll have the name of the company. They'll have some identifying information, which will kind of lure you in. And whether that's done by, over an online chat, via text, directly by voice over the phone, or by email, some other type of correspondence. The one thing that you really need to do, if you're getting unexpected contact purporting that there's some problem that you haven't recognized yet, you didn't even know there was a problem there yet, one of the really smart things to do is just immediately break contact, end that conversation, hang up, and then initiate it yourself. You pick up the phone and you call that vendor, you call that company, you call them directly. And I think a lot of times you can often find out that there's nothing wrong at all. That was an attempted approach to you. That was an attempted scam. They're waiting for you to give them a little bit of information, or they're going to ask you to get the verification code. Now we go through 2-tier verification codes all the time. I myself experienced this with the Bank of America scam. It was obviously not them, but they were on the line with me telling me that there's a problem. They're going to send me a verification code. When I receive it, please give it to them over the phone. And, luckily read enough about this stuff. I was aware of what was happening and ended that, but they're going to get you, they're going to trigger the code back to you in order for you to give it to them, which is just going to give them totally unfettered access to your accounts. So that's the word of the wise here. That's the big tip. If you're approached by somebody you do business with unexpectedly, don't recognize the caller, or even if you do, with these voice scams that they've perfected, break the engagement. You make the outbound call. You make the contact.
You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. We're going beyond phishing, deepfakes, chatbots, and the future of the scams. When we come back, we're going to be talking a little bit about future scams. And maybe more importantly is, how can you protect yourself and really put some pieces in place for your loved ones, your family, anybody that you know? You're listening to Money on Tap, and we'll be right back.
Are you ready to take control of your financial future? Look no further than Brayshaw Financial Group. Our team of experienced advisors is dedicated to helping beginners like you build wealth through smart investing strategies. Visit BrayshawFinancial.com today to start your journey towards financial independence. Brayshaw Financial Group, your partner in wealth creation.
You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. And now, more Money on Tap with Ben, Seth, and Dan.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. We are going beyond the deep fake and, the phishing, and to deep fakes, chatbots, and future scams. For you, we've gone ahead and done some research into pretty much what's the future here in these scams. And a lot of the landscape is similar. Okay. Just kind of like we were talking about the espionage movies, the honey trap. That's not going away. That's a tried and tested true. They're sticking with tried, tested, true, personalized phishing, socialized engineering, AI-powered romance, synthetic identity theft, and financial fraud. One or two here pretty interesting. We want to spend a little bit of time on. But one of the things we want to try to do is just kind of, as we bring back some of these scenarios, how do we help you get protected?
Yeah, I think one of the things that is AI is not yet perfected, and you mentioned it early on, Seth, about the voice duplication that they're able to do, is personality, right? And a lot of these, new age AI generated phishing emails, the misspellings from the old Nigerian prince days, that's not going to be present. But what is present is sometimes repetitive language, right? AI gets fed certain data points, and it'll use those phrases and those facts to comprise this email. But what it sometimes will do is be very, very repetitive. And I know college professors are using this to kind of weed through, some of the paperwork that's been turned in that's, potentially fraudulent by students. But, in this email phishing world, look for things like that. If it's somebody that you've communicated with often, somebody you know personally, they might likely use some casual terminology, some slang, things like that. That's not going to be present in AI. AI hasn't quite gotten to that level of, the real human feel of a conversation. So when it comes to phishing, when it comes to emails, those are the things to look for. Is the misspellings are going to be gone, the grammar is going to be perfect, maybe too perfect, and they're not going to be able to eliminate, or they're not going to use slang like someone you speak to more casually might. And chances are there'll be some repetitive, repeated words over and over again that just reads funny. That someone typing that email to you wouldn't type it that way.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that's probably the most, there's a lot of things going on inside this. So how do you, the things that are going to my head, Dan, as you're talking about that, and I know we're going into this anyways, but, it's just creating the personalized touch. If there's not a personalized scenario inside the email, you can kind of feel when it's cold. And if it's a little colder than normal, might deserve a phone call to that number, because they may not know that number. And then, and creating a personalized conversation is really, really important, because phishing scams are going to evolve into something much bigger. And the kind of the morphing of these phishing scams, these kind of hyper personalized phishing engineered pieces they're going through your social media, your public photos. They've hacked into your phone and they've been collecting data. I mean, we know these cyber criminals, or criminals in general, are very patient, incredibly patient. They're not looking for the quick buck as much as we think so. I know of a gentleman who, somebody was monitoring his fax machine, which was connected outside of his network improperly, and they were collecting page after page over 3 to 5 years and pushing you're faxing stuff and it might have a little bit of personal data on one person. The next one has a little personal data on somebody else. And then 5 years later, you've got a lot of personal data on a lot of the same people. And they had collected that information to actually start doing withdrawals and including signatures from stuff that was faxed. So they're incredibly patient. And they'll wait for themselves to have enough information to attack you, because they're not just focused on you. They're attacking tons of people at once, and they're constantly working on building this database. Like, if someone talks to you about, oh, remember when we went on this trip and I need more money, I want to go on this trip and want to do this or whatever. It's like, they might have pictures of that trip and send it to you. They might have things. Remember when we visited this place and we took that picture at that mountain peak? You might respond and be like, yeah, remember how tired you were and how I beat you to the top? And it's completely untrue. And they're like, oh yeah, remember? You can test these things with things that are not in the normal conversation. You can ask your child or friend or spouse, like if you think it's your spouse, but you're not sure, those are things you can do. Like, we get phishing emails all the time. Check the base domain name. You get a phone call, check where it's coming from. Don't ever give out your information. The number one thing, you make a phone call to the company you're working with, and you verify them if they call you first. Like, these are all things you want to go through and process. But people aren't taking the time to do it. And the urgency that these people create seems reasonably urgent, but always not too urgent. So if you ever feel like you're being pressed to do something, that should be your number one trigger.
So, yes, I think absolutely true. And what you're saying is you need to be empowered, for one, and realize you don't have to do anything ever, right? You don't have to do anything. You can hang up the phone. You can call them directly. You can call whoever the people are in your life or in that scenario to help you out and make sure that you're speaking and working with the person directly. And I wanted to say that's one of the things we focus on here at Brayshaw Financial Group is strategies to mitigate these kind of risks for our clients, right? When we're seeing the emails, when we're seeing account activity that's just not typical, right, for our clients, we're taking that information and we're reaching out. We're proactive on your behalf to make sure, hey, you're okay. What's happening with you on this scenario? How can we be a sounding board for you to make great decisions? And sometimes it's not a scam and it's just stuff going on, and we just have lots of resources to be able to help do things a little differently that are maybe just haven't been thought of. And that's just one of the ways that having people like us, and whether it's your financial professionals or whoever those people are, that actually know you and know how to help is so critical. So some of the things you can do to be proactive here is just make sure that you get your phone number on the do not call registry. You can actually have your identity basically frozen at the like Equifax and the bureaus. So if anybody's trying to run your credit, they are not allowed to unless you actually give them permission to directly. I'm just thinking right now of one of my really good friends, Brian O'Brien. He does Legal Shield, prepaid legal, and they've got a phenomenal, I use it. My family uses it. This is just me being transparent. This is what we do to try to protect ourselves on the things that we can't see. And that's one of the things we love about you being here today. It's about protecting yourself, being successful in your investing. You've been listening to Money on Tap. You guys, thank you so much for spending the time here with us today, learning more about deepfake technology and what you can be doing to protect you and your family. Give us a call at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. Be successful in your investing. We'll see you here next week.
The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of this radio station and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risks, including loss of principal invested. No strategy, product, material, or tool mentioned can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information, products, materials, or tools mentioned should be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. This show may be subsidized in whole or in part by a product sponsor or issuer. Securities and advisory services offered through Osaic Wealth Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC, and a registered investment advisor. All other services offered through Brayshaw Financial Group LLC are independent of Osaic Wealth Incorporated. Osaic Wealth Incorporated and Brayshaw Financial Group do not provide tax or legal advice. Main office is located at 116 South River Road, Bedford, New Hampshire 03110, and can be reached at toll-free 855-226-8551.
Well, bye.